Hola chicos, hoy vamos a hablar sobre las oraciones subordinadas adjetivales, subordinate adjective clauses, okay? And we've said there are three types of subordinate clauses. Last week I made a video about noun clauses, and we said that it's a noun clause because the clause is in a noun spot, right? So that means that the whole clause, the sentence fragment, is functioning as the subject or the direct object of the verb. So la noticia es importante, subject is la noticia, but we can replace la noticia with a subordinate clause. So instead of saying the news is important, we could say it's important that you arrive early, or that you arrive early is important. And now that whole phrase is our subject. Or we do the same thing with a direct object. So el profesor nos dijo la verdad, the teacher told us the truth. Or el profesor nos dijo que no hay clase mañana. The teacher told us there's no class tomorrow. And now that que no hay clase mañana is replacing a noun functioning as the direct object. So that's why it's called a noun clause. Adjective clauses are called adjective clauses because the clause is occupying an adjective space. And adjectives, as you know, describe a noun. So, tengo un carro rojo, I have a red car. Tengo un carro que no usa mucha gasolina. Okay, so it's modifying the whole sentence, que no usa mucha gasolina, that doesn't use a lot of gas, is modifying car. So it's functioning as an adjective. And then in the next video, we'll see adverbials, but we're going to skip those for now. So why does this matter? Because if you don't know what type of subordinate clause you're dealing with, you're not going to be able to figure out, do you use indicative or subjunctive? And I go over that in more detail in el uso del subjuntivo with all the types together. All right. We're going to do a deep dive into adjective clauses right now, though. Go into a little bit more detail than I did in that first video. So, indicativo, subjuntivo. For adjective clauses, this totally depends on whether the noun that's described in the that's being described in the subordinate clause, right? The noun is not in the subordinate clause, but the noun that's being described in the subordinate clause is real or definite or hypothetical or undefined. So in most cases, the context will require either indicative or subjunctive, like one or the other will be correct, but not the other one. But there's a few contexts where you could use either and it changes the meaning, like you could use either one, and if you use indicative, that means it's a known or defined noun, and if you use subjunctive, it means it's an unknown or hypothetical noun, and we'll see some examples of those. So if the noun being described is real or definite, the indicative is used. So my example from earlier, tengo un carro que no usa mucha gasolina. So here's the noun that's being described. Here is our subordinate sentence that doesn't use a lot of gas, and this is indicative because carro, you're saying I have a car. That means it exists, it's known, it's defined, so it's going to be indicative. Leo un libro que me fascina. I'm reading a book that's fascinating me, that's interesting me. So leo un libro, if I'm reading a book, that means it's real, it's defined, and so I'm going to use the indicative here, que me fascina. All right, now, if the noun that's being described is hypothetical or undefined, the subjunctive is used. So if you say quiero un carro, I want a car. Now, even if you know this car exists, right, because the car is at this moment hypothetical, you use the subjunctive. So quiero un carro que no use mucha gasolina. I want a car that doesn't use a lot of gas. But again, even if you know that this car exists, since it's undefined right now, you're using the subjunctive. And then busco un libro que me fascine. I'm looking for a book that will fascinate me. So right now, this book is hypothetical, so I'm going to use the subjunctive here, que me fascine. All right, so those contexts where phrasing is ambiguous and you could use either the indicative or subjunctive. I was trying to think if there are exceptions. I don't think there are, but I could be wrong. But the ones that I can think of off the top of my head, where you'll see the use of the definite article, el, la, los, las, but the context will mean that the noun could be either specified or unspecified. And these all have to be present tense. If they're past tense, then it's always specified. Right, so here, la persona que gana el premio estará feliz, o la persona que gane el premio estará feliz. So a person, and then ganar is win, the prize, will be happy. And so if you say la persona que gana el premio, you say the person that's winning the prize, and you know who that person is. But if you say la persona que gane el premio, you're saying the person, whoever will wins the prize, whichever person wins the prize will be happy. but you don't know the identity of that person at this moment. So either one works, but the first one means that you know the identity of the person, and the second one means you don't. And same thing with el libro que elegimos o elijamos será aburrido. So the book that we choose will be boring. So que elegimos, first one is that we're choosing, we know which book it is, will be boring. And then a second one, we don't have the identity of the book confirmed yet. El libro que elijamos, it's like whichever book we choose will be boring. So either one of these, and like I said, definite article followed by the noun in a context that usually will have the future. I'm trying to think if there's any exceptions to that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. There's always exceptions in language. But this is what the structure will generally look like if it could be either indicative or subjunctive. Definite article, noun, usually future over here. All right. Now, looking at structure of the adjective clause, of the subordinate adjective clause, they usually will start with que, but they can also start with some other things. So you might see el, la, los, las in front of that que trying to think here, if it has a preposition in front of it, right? So like this example, con el que hablamos es nuestro profesor. If it has a preposition, it can't be con que, it has to be con el que. And then you'll see like exact same sentence, con el que, con el cual, con quien. These are all synonyms. And so you'll see, I mean, each of these means exactly the same thing. It's just three different ways of saying the same thing. So if you see this or this or this, these are all adjective clauses. And these are different ways that you can say with who. So the man with who we talked, the man with whom, I think it's supposed to be whom in English, with whom we talked, or we're talking, the man with whom we're talking, or we talked. All right. So those are a couple of them. Then the other one you might see is cuyo, which means whose. So el hombre cuyo artículo se publique estará feliz. La mujer cuyo programa miramos es mi mejor amiga. So el hombre cuyo artículo se publique. So the man whose article is published. And here's a hypothetical. Okay, so whichever man whose article is published will be happy. We don't know the identity of this man, and that's clear from the subjunctive, use of the subjunctive here. And you could just as easily use the indicative. You could say, el hombre cuyo artículo se publica estará feliz, and then that indicates you know who the man is. La mujer cuyo programa miramos, and same thing, this could be either indicative or subjunctive. No, it can't be, sorry. Because at the end it says, es mi mejor amigo, so you obviously know the identity of the woman. So la mujer cuyo programa miramos is the woman whose program we watch is my best friend. And as I said, the end here makes the difference, right? If I'm saying she's my best friend, obviously her identity is known, so you're going to use the indicative. All right, there's another reference sheet here. It kind of goes over like why it's con el que, con la que, the different types of speech. It's a little bit confusing, and so I haven't really shared it. But if you want to have a look at it, you can. But you don't really need to know it. We're not gonna spend a lot of time. We're not gonna spend any time working on adjective clause structure because that's really way above our level right now. But it's there if you want it ever in the future. Okay, hope this helps.